but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. One day, when we're getting wrinkly and our hair's grey, a rusty old banger in the driveway, one of us will maybe wear a toupee, but I will be in love with you.
Hello, hello, amazing human beings. Some people for the 5th week, some people for the 1st. Who's excited about today? We're gonna do something that all of you have not done in our workshop. We're gonna have a blast. We're gonna do work together. But before I start, I wanna share something with you. Because sometimes it takes, oh, some people are still joining. While people are still joining, let's start off with some wins before I'm going to share a story. I want to hear 3. Let's do some quick ones. Who would love to celebrate something? Carolyn.
I launched on Saturday.
It launched on Saturday. Beautiful. How does that feel, Carolyn?
Relieved. Sometimes the emotions are kind of close together and we confuse them, but I'm excited also. And I feel movement. But I'm going to have movement here too. That's my next movement, big time.
Big time.
Big time.
Who feels that too? That it's big time movement. Right? By the way, yeah, we're gonna talk about it in a second. Okay, I want to hear 2 more wins. Linda.
Hi, everybody. So my win is I'm going to be doing a course, a 3-week course, an hour each week, and I already have 18 people enrolled, and it's an in-person course. So I'm excited about that.
What? That's incredible! Amazing, Linda on a roll. Nice, 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 nice. Congratulations. You say it like you're tying your shoes, like, by the way. It's like you're working really hard, and
I think that's to keep the fear down for doing it. It's not my first course, but it's the first course that I have so many people that are already enrolled in it.
that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And last win, Debbie, I saw your hand raised. What can we celebrate with you?
I finally have my beta version ready. So I have to click here and give it to MBA, and then they're gonna try it out, my coaching program. So I think it's very exciting. I'm very scared about it. I'm really scared. I'm staring at it and I'm like, yeah. So I still didn't give it to MBA yet. I'm like, oh my God. This is so scary. Yeah.
All right, well, you are on the speaking journey. I'm just curious, like, who here sometimes or already felt on this journey a little like, ah,
Yeah.
you're not alone. You're not alone. And you're in the 1st week, and some people are already on the 5th, and I got some text already. It's like, oh my God, Lori. I feel it's coming close. I don't know yet what my topic is going to be. Help me out. Right? So wherever you are on the journey and whatever you feel, sometimes it creates more confusion before it creates clarity. And I want to pre-frame you all on that if you right now feel confusion, then congratulations, you're on the path. The only thing that we don't want to do is stop, because then we sit in the confusion and we stay there. What we want to do is we move right into it, and we want to move past it until there's clarity, until there's new information before you get into confusion again. It's kind of like this loop of like, we get more information, we don't know what to choose. Oh my God, we made a decision, but did we make the right decision? Maybe we should look for new information. And then this is like a process that never ends. At some point, the phases just take shorter. Does it make sense? Right? So wherever you are on the journey, know it's absolutely perfect. And the beauty of this is that we are all together. Again, some people are already on the path, some people are starting today. That is one of the biggest blessings of this group. There was a time that I was in Tenerife, that's an island of Spain, and I was living there for around a year. And I have a younger brother, Bart. And my younger brother, he actually decided to fly to his sister to visit her all the way from the Netherlands. And I felt like, oh my God, this is like the coolest thing ever. My brother comes visit me. So we had some time together, a couple of days, and I said, Bart, what do you want to do? I mean, I live here. I can do paradise every day. What do you want to do? And he said, Lori, the one thing that I would love to do with you is to go on a boat trip. And what you may not know is that when we were kids, my grandparents had a beach house in our country, and we would go there every summer. I never went outside the Netherlands until I was like much older. And our grandfather had a boat, and we would always go on boat trips. So my heart was like overflowing. I'm like, you want to go on a boat trip? So nostalgic. We're going on a boat trip together in Tenerife. And this was not just a boat trip. This was a boat trip where we would go fishing, exactly the same thing as we would do with our grandfather. So we got ourselves a really nice guide. We got the fishing equipment. We were with a couple of other people, and we went, right? And I'm curious if I'm alone on this, but who here is quite competitive? It's like, it's not a game, but you want to win anyways. Like you create your own rules because you want to win. It's like, I wanted to win this fishing competition that I made up in my mind. So I'm, like throwing this thing as professionally as possible, and I'm going for it. And the first thing that we were going for was small fishes. The small fishes. Sometimes we need to start with the small fishes in order for us to catch the big fish. Make sense? Sometimes we need to focus on building a story library, sitting in confusion, trusting the process before we're creating our full talk. Make sense? Right? So we were going for the small fishes, and I'm going for it. Right? I'm like throwing it in, catching the thing, and the only thing that I get is these plastic stupid fish that were on the fishing rod on the first place to catch the big fish. And I got so frustrated. And on the other side of the boat, I'm not making this up, my brother is like, boom, boom, another one, oh, two at the same time. I'm like, dude, are you having better water over there or what? Right? You might have this too. You see other people, you're like, we heard the same information, but what comes out of your mouth is so incredible. And what I have is not good enough. Maybe you have extra curriculum that Lori shared only with you. Maybe you have better water, right? So I'm actually thinking he has better water. So I go to the other side of the boat. I'm trying the same thing. Like, I'm not having any luck. And I'm like grown up, but I get a little frustrated because I'm not winning this competition that I made up in my own head, right? And then I go for a different strategy. I'm like, okay, maybe you don't have better water. Maybe you just have a better technique. Maybe you go in a different depth of the water. So I'm asking him, hey, what do you actually do? Because I'm getting frustrated and no one wins when I get frustrated, including you. So help me out. So he shares, okay, I go deep and then I go really fast up. So I'm trying this thing, right? What you might experience as well. When you see other people that have different techniques, not just in this group, but also in the portal, you can watch the recordings of the people who did their speaking engagement. And you can watch, like, what are they doing? You resonate with them? Okay, watch what they are doing, right? You're learning a system, you're learning a strategy, but a big part of it is your stories and is your personality. So look what they're doing and model it in a way that feels authentic to you. So I'm copying the strategies of my brother. And I'm going deep, going fast. And even with the right strategies, it was still not working for me. I'm like, oh, I really am not winning this competition, right? And again, some of you texted me, if you feel that you're not winning the competition, it's not over. It's not over. Because the first phase was catching the small fishes, right? And my brother, I think honestly, had like 26 and I had like 0. And then there were some other people on the boat. My brother was absolute winner. And then there were some people at like 5, 3, 10, whatever. I had 0. 0. And we now had a big pile of small fishes. But what we were actually going to do is use the small fishes to catch tuna. Now, who's ever caught tuna? Like, they're big. They're like this. So we were not able to do it ourselves, but our fisherman that was bringing us on the trip, he kind of like caught them, and then one person on the boat was able to get it inside, and I got like so excited. Now you have to picture this, right? I'm 25 at the time, like energy like this. There's all these 45 to 50-year-old men who certainly enjoy eating food. There's like me and my brother, you know? So when the fisherman caught the big tuna, I'm like, I wanna do this thing. And somehow I always get it in that stage of life. Like when there's a person who needs to be picked or whatever, I somehow always get the turn. So I'm now catching this big fish. I got the tuna. And me and my brother laughed so hard about this because he really wanted the tuna as well. He was not the person who got himself forward. He stood in line, he was little waiting, he didn't get the turn, and then I made sure he was next, but then we didn't get a tuna again. So I got the tuna, he got 26 fishes, and we decided, you know, we're both winners, just in a different competition, right? You might be wondering, great, Katharina, you came within the story. You're like, what am I listening to? Am I in the Public Speaking Academy, or am I listening to Lori's fishing trip story? What's going on? This fishing trip story is a story that's put in my story library. And what we're going to talk about today is how you fill your story library, whether you already started on it or whether you're you already started or you're just starting with it. But I also want to share with you how I picked this story, how I connected certain teaching points to it, and how you can use this story for different purposes. Because who here in the room is figuring out, like, what am I actually speaking about? Like, I decided something in my Kickstart call, and now I'm like, I have all this new information. I am starting to doubt about everything. I don't know, Lori. I don't know. Right? Who feels that with a raise of hands? Look around the room. You're so alone. You're so alone. You're on your island. Right? We're all in the same competition, right? Sometimes it's just confusing. Like, what are you going to speak about? Especially when you put the bar really high. Yesterday, I did a keynote from here in Salt Lake City. We're in Salt Lake City right now. And I said the rules of success that you put on yourself around speaking is the level of success you're able to feel. Let me say that again.
Say that again.
I was going to say that again. When I say it again, it's a good one to write down. The rules of success that you have about speaking determine whether or not you feel successful. If your expectation is that you create from, I've never stood on a stage and I'm terrified, and within 8 weeks I will be ready for a TEDx, you might create an expectation that's not really easy to obtain. Does it make sense? When you don't know what you're going to speak about and you have the idea that within 8 weeks you have it all figured out and you know the one speaking topic that you will be booked on paid speaking gigs forever. Right? Might make it really hard for yourself. what I would love to invite you is a rule of success. Like, I'm going to create one epic talk that I will be so proud of. And then I can also change every story and the whole aim because I'm actually understanding how I created it. What if it's not so much always about the outcome, but more of the process, so you're actually understanding how to duplicate it or change it when you feel like this? When do you guys think that I decided to share the fishing story? It's now June 3rd. When do you think I practiced and thought about sharing this specific story? This AM, Linda. Okay. What do you guys think? Put it in the chat. When did I prepare this? This morning? Anyone else? A while ago, yesterday, 5 minutes before we started. I was like, I just want to make this point, and I'm figuring out with the story. I'm scrolling. I'm like, oh, I could use this Tenerife thing. I did not prepare any of it. Any of it. But because I understand the system, I'm able to adapt. If you would have said 4 minutes before we started, Lori, I want you to change it from another story, not the Tenerife fishing. I'm like, okay, no worries. I'll just connect it to something else. What we're going to do today is we're going to fill your story library. But first, I want to show you mine. Who already, by the way, downloaded Notion and watched the video about the story library? A lot of you. If you're not there yet, you're not behind. All right. What you want to do after this lesson is download the template. We're not going to talk about how to do that. It's in the course. For now, when you're filling your story library, just open a Word document and start writing down those stories. And then later on, you can transmute them to Notion if you want to use the platform. I would highly advise it. But if for some reason you just don't like it, or you feel you have a better idea that works better for you, you are totally free to do that. All right? So before I'm going to actually share the story library, what are the elements that are important in a story library? I just want to hear one person who would love to share that. What are the important elements to write down in your story library per story? You cannot fail. Carolyn.
Bullet points, teaching points.
Nice. Very good. So we have bullet points. Now, what will be within the bullet points, Carolyn? Why do we want bullet points in our story library?
I guess it creates flow,
It creates flow. Yes, it does create flow. Anyone else?
focus.
Focus. Yeah. Naomi?
It keeps the points really clear, so there's not a bunch of confusion, so that when you look at your story library and you pick a story, you can easily say, okay, this is the points that I'm trying to make. So it's at top of mind.
Very, very well said. So the goal of the story library is not when you show it to me, you're like, look at mine. Don't you think this is really elegant, really beautiful words? I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. What I care about is that when you open your story library, you remember the story. That's the only goal. So the bullet points are bullet points of moments in time of that story that help you remember what happened. We don't want a real full script there. It can be one, because with one you're like, oh, I completely what happened. I often have like 4, 5, 6, 7, but don't make it more than 10 because now you're overdoing it again, right? So that are the bullet points. Carolyn said really well, teaching points. Teaching points. Now, teaching points is kind of your own summary of, okay, remember this story, bullet points. And then the teaching points are, this is the point you can make with this story. Now, my question to you, what was the point of the Tenerife fishing story? Who would love to share? Adrian, what do you think?
I think it has to do with like trying other people's techniques,
Yeah.
trying to maybe emulate or try to do what other people do. Maybe it works for you, maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah. So also what Debbie said in the chat, strategy,
Yeah.
right? That could be one. Now, this might sound crazy, but let's lean in here for a moment. What are other connections that I could have made that I did not, but that you can come up with because now you kind of know what the story is about? I live in Tenerife. My brother comes visit. We go on a nostalgic trip. He decides that he wants that. We go together, right? What are other teaching points that I might have made through this story? Who has an idea? Start with small fish to get the big fish, right? So maybe we want to start small, but go bigger over time. Who here in this room has something in their teaching points where they bring people from, don't overwhelm yourself. Let's start small and keep going. Who has something like this? I think everybody in their own way, right? So now we can use this story, not you, my story, because it's my story. It's my life experience. It's not yours. But you also have similar stories of other life experiences where you can share that teaching point. Now, what other teaching points can you come up with? Patrice, you have any idea? Any thoughts?
I think I missed the last 2 minutes, so I'm not in to the thought. I was trying to catch up.
So the story that I shared, there's
Mm-hmm.
a teaching point that I made through it.
Mm-hmm.
Other teaching points that you can come up with that might have nothing to do with what I just shared, but the same story can make different points.
Oh, okay.
And anyone who wants to help Patrice, feel free to raise your hand. Carolyn.
Yeah, come on.
I don't know. What I got out of it is that you changed competition to, oh, I can't think of the word I was going to use, started to see, competition into love, into a great story of love and compassion.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's one I did not think of myself, right? We changed competition into collaboration, into
That's
love,
it. That's the word.
right? I'm also seeing Naomi ask for help. Ask for help when you don't know, when it's not working for you. Don't keep doing the same thing, but ask for help to someone who already knows. Do we now see that when, and now it gets a little funky, when you have a goal, an outcome, an aim, right? Aim for your speaking. We can pick different stories to make one aim. But we can keep the stories and change the aim, and now we just connect different teaching points to the same story. I can use the fishing story in every single keynote I will ever do. I'll just connect a different learning to the same story. Isn't that fun? So when you feel like, what is my outcome going to be? What will be my topic? Like, what is actually my aim? What are my 3 teaching points? Sometimes that just takes a little bit of time and unfolding, testing stuff out, and then you feel like, oh, this just didn't land. I have to go back to the drawing table, think again, what's actually my aim? What do I really want? But you already kind of nailed down the stories. You're really satisfied with the stories you chose. So now it's like, okay, now it's a different puzzle. We can keep the stories, we just want a different teaching rhythm. And sometimes the teaching points are very set, but the stories just don't make sense. It's just like, huh? So now we're changing the stories. What I all want you to see is that this is not like we fix the aim, it's done. Now we go to the stories. This is a process where you dance around. And every single time you get a little bit better in every single one of them. So this is what my story library looks like. And this is what you will see within the part where I actually put down the Tenerife fishing story. So let's see what you can learn from this. Right, so this is the story library. Right, so we have a lot. And every single time I'm just journaling, right? I started earlier than you, so don't overdo this. Don't go for a weekend and get yourself in a forest and don't talk to anyone and just journal everything down. Even if that works for you, it's great too. What I did is let's say 3 or 4 a week for a very long time, and that just started to compound. So I have enough material, but I also practiced the behavior so much that I can now leverage what just happened and use it in a keynote. What I said yesterday, I did a keynote for an amazing company here online in Salt Lake City, in the same place where I'm talking to you right now. And I used a story that happened to me that day, right? So when you start to understand how to pick the stories, how to recognize there's a story, how to put them in your story library. Sometimes you don't even have to put them in your story library, just use them right now. But then there's these anchor points of the story library where you know you can always go back to. So when you have a speaking engagement, it's very like it's very close by. It's like in 2 days you're like, oh my God, stress. I need to build this keynote from scratch. You can go back to your story library and lean on everything you already put in. Does it make sense? All right, so let's go back to the story library. And then we've got all these stories. Now, what you can do, what I can do, is, for example, go to my tags, and this is where it gets a little technical, but this is all explained in the course, is you can search on specific topics that you created before. So I can say, okay, I want to do something around trust the process. These are tags that I gave, right? So maybe for you, it will be confidence, or it will be whatever you want it to be, right? I also have something about entrepreneurial behavior. See that my topics also changed over time because I have leadership, focus, visualization, mindset, goals, and these are a lot of tags. I would advise you to do less, but I just started and I had all these new ideas. So let's do something around trust the process. I don't know where it is again. There. So now all my personal stories that I connected to trust the process come up. So now I don't have that whole list. I can specifically look for one. I'm like, oh, catch big fish Tenerife Bart. The title is, again, not to impress anyone. It's for you to remember. So when I look at this, I'm like, oh, I remember. So I click on it and now it opens. I'm like, okay, what are the teaching points that I made up in that moment? Bring people with you on the journey. All right, so I can even say, like if you're in your entrepreneurial world and you feel like your family is not on board with whatsoever, sometimes we just need to bring people on the journey, right? And in my case, I went to another country to live there, but then one of my family members, my brother, came visit, and then he saw my life, and then we felt connected again, and he didn't have to understand what I was doing for a business. We were just connecting on a human level again. So what do you have in common that you can share as an experience with a loved one that you feel disconnected to right now? Right? I can totally make that point. Another point, when you want a bigger fish, get yourself new water, move. Right? Where in your life do you feel stuck? And what are the actions that you're taking within that area of life? What do you want to change for you to get new results? That could be one. The third that I made up is change your strategy to get different results. Adrian and Debbie, what you said, right? So what strategy? Like, who here would love to be a speaker? Okay, great. Who here loves to be there for more than a year? Okay, great. Are you at the level you wanted? No? Maybe we need strategies. And use other talents. You don't need to do everything alone. Me and my brother together caught like a really big tuna. But I was not able to do that without him because he caught the bait. And he was not able to do it without me because he just got the bait. And together, and this is a true story, we had a barbecue with 20 people and we shared the tuna. We had the beautiful, beautiful memory because we worked together on this. So the story points for me to remember is Bart visiting me in Tenerife, wanting to go fishing. Bart caught all the small fish, Laurie caught the big one. That's what I need to remember what I will say. When I would use the same story next time, will it be exactly the same, yes or no? Nod your head. No, of course not. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Can be both, right? Sometimes it can be like, Laurie, this one was great. The other one was not so good. I don't know what happened there, but this one you went a little over. Like you had 5 minutes, you took 20. We didn't need to know how you grilled the fish, Laurie, right? Because I got a little excited. So it can be a bad thing because you're not really controlled, right? What works for me is practicing a lot of times. Some people like to put a little bit more bullet points or give themselves some rules in the game or record themselves, watch it back, and then really script it out. Can work for some people. But most of the time, I would say, is a very good thing because when you script it literally and you really remember every single sentence, I would have not been able to share this story with you today. Because the idea came up, like 10 minutes before we started. I looked at my story library. I'm like, okay, I will do it like this. If I would have remembered the script, I would have felt so much anxiety because in 10 minutes, I'm not able to remember every single word. But now the rules of success create the level of success you're able to feel. So now if I feel that I need to remember this whole script, I won't succeed. Therefore, I would not share the story, and who's happy I did. Right? So this is what you can create for yourself too. Make it easy. Give yourself some points of remember, and every time you practice out loud, you become a little better. I've practiced this a lot of times. So it becomes easier. That's why, by the way, you all have access to the bonus Monday calls where you're able to share, right? When I do this very interactively, it's not to put you on a spot and say, oh, you did not answer right. No, of course, like we're all learning and we're all growing and you're always right because you're doing it. And that's the point. So just to finish it off, what I put in my story library is also some stuff that can help me. So in this case, I added some photos. So this was us. Look at us. Tuna right there. And this was us when we were little. Look at how cute we are, right? So if I ever want to use this in a keynote and I want to use the visuals, I make it very easy for myself to have the assets that I need. And that's what the story library is about. It's not an outcome. It's not when you do this, now you're a good speaker. If you don't, you suck forever. It's a tool. It's a tool to help you out. It's a tool for you to store stories that you will forget. It's a tool for you that when you have a speaking engagement and you need to pick stories, you can go to a dictionary that you created already and you can look, oh, which one do I want to use? And maybe the answer is none of them. But because you wrote them down, you now think about another story that you do want to use. This is for you to help you to make it easy. Before we're gonna have some brainstorm time and where you're gonna brainstorm about stories that you may have forgotten. Are there any questions? Yes, there are. Adrian.
Yeah, so my question is, so like if you don't have your aim and you don't have your stories, like what do you start with? Like, is it just dumping a bunch of stories in the story library, or do you kind of build them side by side? Like if you have two blank slates, how do you tackle it?
Yes, beautiful, beautiful question. The course that you all have access to is very, very like designed in a way where there was a lot of thought put into this. And there's an order, right? It's really nice to start off with number one, create your aim. What is the transformation that you want to create? What are the 3 teaching points that you want to share? What is the outcome that you have in mind? What is the now? What's the new? What you all have your speaking blueprint, right? Like the form that you have. The beauty is that me and Luke are able to see it. So use it. So we're able to help you better, right? But also that it's not when you don't fill it in exactly how it's explained, you're failing miserably, you will suck in week 8, this is not gonna work. It's not like that. It's a tool to help you out. So the outcome that we have in stage number 1, the aim, is you have direction. You have direction. Because when you get stuck in picking the stories, it's because the aim is not clear. So we want to have some sort of direction. But when we then go to phase number 2, where you're storing all your stories, which by the way is a process you can start whenever, right? So also kind of to give some context about this, Adrian, you can also start with just brain dumping your stories. You're like, I don't know where I'm going to use these, but I'm just going to put them out there. But then when you start to pick the stories, it's going to be really, really hard if you don't know what the aim is. And this can be also a dance. So it's not you finish the aim, you have the aim right, and now we're picking the stories. Because now you pick stories and you're like, whoa, I really want to use this, but it doesn't really fit the teaching points. Are the teaching points now correct? Or should I change one of the teaching points so I can include this story? I'm like, oh, that could work. Okay, let's see how that works. Okay, but now this story doesn't make any sense anymore. And then you go back and forth. So this is a place, and sometimes I even say, like, a whole round of Public Speaking Academy helps you to build the foundation in phase 1 and phase 2. And then you add phase 3, which is glue it all together, and we will do that. Phase number 4, optimize the delivery. That takes new headspace. So be graceful with yourself. Does that help? Who is happy she asked? Because you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? Power of questions. Patrice.
Yes. So you talk about sometimes it doesn't stick. You practice, you practice, you practice. And I wonder how do you like is probably how do you practice connection and the right story? Because I started writing and then I edit it and I'm like, no, I need a completely new scratch paper. And then I'm writing down and the idea is flowing differently. I'm like, I'm gonna find myself with 5 scratch paper and I have to merge this back together. And then I'm giving myself another assignment. And then,
Yes.
right? Or sometimes I'm in the bus, sitting in the bus, and I'm like practicing stuff in my head. I'm like, maybe you should write this down. And then you
Yeah.
end up having that kind of, I wonder what the right process is or what's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. And this is very personal to everybody. First, I had this illusion that my strategy was the best. And then I started to teach one-on-one clients, and they were like so stuck. I'm like, maybe it's not them, it's me, right? So it's very personal. It's very personal what the best approach is. I will share mine, and I will share from other people what they experience works really well for them. So overall, what I would say is a stage is everywhere. So when I have a keynote, for example, which I had this week, right? Yesterday. On the Monday call, I'm thinking already, like, what are stories that I want to share that I can practice in this group? So now I'm not doing trainings, having calls, and then have this big keynote that I'm working on. This whole this side project. Like, I know what is my aim going to be around, right? What stories do I probably want to use? And then I'm just going to create a teaching point that I already want to make, connect one story and add them into conversations, trainings that I'm already giving, calls that I already do, conversations that I already have. So now it's not this one big project with a lot of anxiety and big rules of success. Now it becomes like these pieces that I kind of put together because I practiced parts of it. So for you, what I would say to start with and to really gain that momentum is not to think, what is this one big keynote of mine going to be? But when you get smaller, it's like, what is one teaching point and what's one story you want to use to teach that? And where can you in this week do this out loud with real people with occasions that you already have 3 times? And now you're like, whoa, this one story, like the first time I told it, it was like not making any sense. But because you create a lot of repetitions, not by talking to yourself in the mirror, but by using stuff that you already are doing anyways. So now it becomes this fun behavior, which you make it easy, you see progress, right? So you have one story, then in that same week, you have 2 other iterations. So that one story now already had 3 practice rounds. Now you're like, you know what? I really like this one. I'm going to use it. What's my second one? And now you're going to add to that. And now there's a new skill. So you have one story that you really like with one teaching point. You have one story that you really like with one teaching point. Now you're going to glue them together. So now we're adding a transition. Okay, now this kind of works. And now I'm saying, okay, let's connect it to the aim. It's like, whoa, 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 that's a whole different thing again. But now you've been practicing with a skill. So when I say I would love for you to swap this story for this story, but with the same teaching point, maybe in the beginning it will be super confusing, but at some point you start to really understand what that means. And now in that same day, not in the same week, you're like, I have 3 meetings. Like I can use this story in different ways. Maybe in one meeting it will be like 10 minutes. But most probably it will be around like 1 or 2 sentences or 1 minute or 2 minutes. And now you're practicing with time. So now you're leaning into the skill instead of seeing it one big thing. And like on Saturday, I'm working on my keynote, right? You're sitting in the bus and you're drafting it out. You're like, oh, this is so confusing because the aim is not right, right? Does that make sense? Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. Funny enough, I tell people all the time, don't trying to eat the elephant. Just take a bite out of the elephant. You don't gonna realize when you eat the entire elephant.
Yeah.
But when you just said to me, just pick one teaching point, one story, I was like, I should have thought of that. That helps. Yeah.
And just to give you another perspective as well, what can help for other people. And this is, it's not different, it's just like a little different view because some people just really love scripts. It's really hard when I say, just pick one and just connect the teaching points. Like, Lori, that word just, like what, like how? Like seriously, give me some steps. So for me, it really works when I can just do it and just try, and then I see what works and then I change it. That's an approach that really works for me. But if that doesn't really naturally feel like something you do and it holds you back from actually getting into movement, what can work is pick one story, not the whole elephant, like a toe of the elephant. And then write for that one story, write the script for that one. But don't feel that you need to create like this whole book. Like we want to maybe have a paragraph. And then you start to see, okay, this works for it. And now you have, you have a little certainty, a little control, and then you share that story multiple times that week. In the same way, it's just different than just do it. It's like, okay, you can write one down and then iterate that one story. So that was your question, Linda? Oh, fun. Beautiful. Carolyn.
Well, you just pegged my imagination. I just realized that I probably assume that most people in this room are future casting in their hindbrain of writing a book at somewhere. And you just, when you do this, you now have a organized timeline outline of your life, and you will have all the things you need to start writing your book. So you get 2 things in one.
Yes. Well, actually 3 things in one because you're writing down the stories, you get all the stories that you need for a book, for example. But I've also had people who want to create a course, did not do it yet, started with a keynote, which I really, really, really love to celebrate because a lot of people feel they have to build everything before and then stand on stage and share it all. But what I've seen over and over and over again is that when people lean into this journey, they get clear on what their teaching points are, that those teaching points become a course. And then the keynote will be, hey, who would love to explore what's next after this? Like how you can materialize this. Like now I share the what and the why, but who would love to hear the how? It's like people already want to buy something you did not even create, but because you created the clarity on what that is, you can then create it into a product, a service, whether that's an online course that people can watch, whether that's working with you one-on-one as a consultant, whether that is using your service, like whatever that is. But because you created demand first, you now can bring people on the journey. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Luke.
Can I just add something, Laurie? When I did the first speaking academy with you, it was, what was it? Last year. I'm pretty sure it was last year. And I did my story library and I just wrote a few things down and I didn't get it perfect. And we had a breakout room and I just told one of my stories. And it's a story about I lost my passport in Amsterdam. Super simple story. I thought, this is my aim. Here's my bullet points. And here's my teaching points from it. So I had it in my head. And I joined Toastmasters and they had this competition for humorous speaking. And I was like, oh, I had this story in my story library, which was just the story about I lost my passport in Amsterdam. And I just did it like from my story library. And I won the contest at my club level. I won at my area level. I won at my divisional level. And a couple of weeks ago, I competed nationally against the whole of UK and Ireland with the same story that I built from my story library, just doing it the way you are doing it now. And it wasn't perfect, but I knew it because I was able to just say it very easily. It changed every time. And I finessed it just like you guys will finesse your final talk. But the magic of a story library where you just have a couple of bullet points and one teaching point and an aim, when it comes together, it's so powerful. And you can just develop each of these, just like Laurie did. She spent 10 minutes today on the fishing story, and she would have just written it down and developed it over time. So it's all possible. And I won a national award as a result of one story in my story library, which I did over a year ago. So this is the power of it. I just want to share that. Thank you, Laurie.
That's epic. That's epic. And also, and this is like, I hope you also put that in your mind with what Luke is sharing. Like, he did not say, I won the whole entire thing because I did it for a week, right? Like, he shared the story. And I remember, Luke, you were like, Laurie, like right before you're like, oh my God, like I have all these stories. I don't know which one to pick. Like the same exact journey that everybody of you is going on. Then you did pick, you did it perfectly because you did it, and that's with every single one of you. When you do it, it's perfect. There's always three speaking presentations you always do. Number one, the one you prepared. Number two, the one you did. And number three, the one you wished you did, right? You will always have that. It's not a bad thing. Number three is the new information for step number one again. So what we're going to do now is we're going to brainstorm about your stories. Because what's going to happen is that these stories will pop into your mind, sometimes with different prompts. So when I shared the Tenerife boat story, who already thought of a story of yourself that you forgot about? And maybe it had something to do with the word boat. Maybe it was about Tenerife, Spain. Maybe it was about travel. Maybe it was about the word brother. But something inside was like, oh, I also, and it's probably a total different story. But just because I told mine, it reminded you of other things that you went through. Who had that seriously? Right? That's the power of all of this. That's the power of what you're going to create for your audience, because they will go into their own imagination when they're listening to you. So what we will do now is I will just share different prompts. And the prompt is not for you to now create stories about the prompts. So for example, if I say pasta, what are all associations that you have with pasta? Please put it in the chat. What are all memories? Okay, we have Italy, mother-in-law. See, there we go. What else? Stealing my grandmother's pasta while she was making it. There we go. Watching my father make pasta. There you go. Right? So when I say the word pasta, all of you have different stories that you connect with. hardship, making pasta salad on Sundays with my mom. So now there's all these different moments in time that come to. Now, the last thing that I want to share before we're going into brainstorm mode, and I'm going to give you a prompt, you're going to write it down. If you already have your Notion, this would be a great time to open it so you can immediately put it in. If you don't have it yet, you're not behind. You just want to put them onto a piece of paper, in a Word document or whatever. So at some point when you are at that module, you're able to transfer it into the Notion template. Make sense? All right. The last thing I want to share is that a story is not my brother came visiting me in Tenerife and we had a great time. Right? This would be maybe 5 days. A story is when we zoom in and now we're on a boat together and we're fishing. We're not just on a boat fishing, it's like we're fishing small and big fish. That's the story. So when I look at the associations that you put in the chat, these are not stories yet. Right? So when I'm looking at stealing my grandmother's pasta while she was making it, that's more of a story than, for example, Italy. And I know that I didn't ask you to put in a story, I asked association, so you did it perfectly. I just want to make that point. Is stealing my grandmother's pasta while she was making it, maybe there was a specific day, in a specific place, with a specific occasion, that now that is a story. Right? So when we're brainstorming stories, what I would love to hear is a specific moment in time, on a specific day, maybe a specific hour, a specific place, with specific people. When you're not able to share that, if I'm asking for it, it's not a story. All right, so what we do want is we want a specific moment where something specific happened, where now you're able to connect a teaching point towards. What we're going to do now is we're going to brainstorm about your stories. Now, you might ask yourself, Lori, do I have to add all the teaching points? Do I have to add all the story points? Do I need to find the photos as well, just as you, or links, or all these things? No. The outcome of what we're doing now, the outcome that we're looking for, is that we create some sort of flow. No perfection, no detail oriented. We want brain dumps. We want quantity over quality. Let me say it again. I want quantity over quality. I rather have you write down a lot and then later on think, maybe I'm not able to use these, than for you to create 3 perfect ones. All right? So what I will share is I will share a prompt. I'll share a timer. We're doing this time pressure that has a reason. You don't have to understand. You just need to lean into it. I'll put on some music. You're going to write them down. And we go to the next prompt, next prompt, next prompt. The outcome that we have today is for you to get a lot of new thoughts, new stories that you might have forgotten or that you do remember, you just did not put them down on a piece of paper yet. And that afterwards, you're able to get these in your Notion, use the templates, and have everything figured out. All right? So the first prompt that we're going to use, you get a timer of 3 minutes for that, is actually pasta. So let's use pasta because you already kind of started to think about it. It doesn't have to be anything with pasta, you guys. It is just to help you, remind you of some stories. So the timer starts now, forehead down, and write all the thoughts that come to mind. stories, dogs, and if you're not able to hear me, we just keep going. We just keep going in this flow, and you're gonna write down new stories that you come up with. The new prompt is animals. Cats, dogs, horses, rabbits, whatever comes up with the word animal. What stories can you remember? What moments in time did you forgot? Write them down. All right, that was the time again. We're going to do this for one more round. The next prompt that I would love for you to remember stories through is socks. Socks, the stuff you put on your feet. What moments in time do you remember? Again, it has nothing to do with socks. It doesn't matter. Maybe because you hear the word socks, you thought I was saying snakes, and because snakes, you created some new stories. This is about quantity over quality. Whatever comes up with me saying socks, let's go. write down what you were writing down. And then when you're finished, put both in the hands in the air. Pretend that the music is still playing and flow on the wave. We just do this until everybody is in. Thank you, Patrice. Thank you, Catherine. Super. So we all brainstormed our stories. And welcome, Amol. Who would love to share some stories that you came up with? Naomi, you say this was fun. Can you share a couple of stories that you remember just because we brainstormed on this together and we were very intentional with them?
Yeah, I mean the first one that I would love to share is the socks. Like it triggered my first backpacking experience on the Appalachian Trail where I had my first bear encounter in the Smoky Mountains. And it was such a humorous, just epic experience being out there. Like I said, first backpacking trip, I found these like $40 backpacks on this site called Woot, and they were terrible. I looked like such an amateur at the trailhead, surrounded by all these hikers that look so professional, like they know what they're doing, and I didn't. And I spent my first night in an Appalachian Trail shelter, and I wasn't supposed to cook near the site, but I did, and a black bear came and tormented me for like what felt like an hour, trying to get to my food, trying to get to my backpack. I didn't hang my backpack in the tree yet, but anyway, it's such an epic story. So it triggered that story for me, um, which is really a memorable one, and I love it. Another story that was triggered for me when you said animals is getting my first dog. My German Shepherd Amara. I was living on the road at the time, full time in my Volkswagen Vanagon with my ex. And we were driving down this lonely Texas highway and saw this child holding up a giant sign saying German Shepherd puppies. And at the time we were living on the road, we could barely take care of ourselves at the time, barely make it to camp to make dinner for ourselves. And we're thinking about, hey, let's go see these puppies and see maybe we get a road dog. And my ex looked at me and he said, we're not getting a dog today. I'm like, okay, let's just pet the puppies. So that's a story that it triggered for me. Long story short, I left with a German Shepherd who is still in my life today, 6 years later. But
Absolutely.
that's the one that got the top ones that got triggered for me.
That is beautiful. Do we, by the way, see that when we focus on outcome, when we focus on stories, when we focus on transformation, that more often than not, the delivery will be authentic, right? Who thinks that she did an incredible job by just sharing? Did she prepare those? No. She was just sharing the life experience, but because you were prompted by saying, hey, we want specific stories, your brain authentically remembers them because you actually were able to see them in your imagination, and now we were all able to see that transformation. Would it be possible through scripting? Maybe it would. But did you do this super, super amazingly by just sharing this off the cuff without any preparation? Right? The goal that we have is we want to brainstorm about those specific stories, about those different moments in time. And it's not always about your profession, right? Because let's lean into these a little bit further. Let's go with the first one, right? We brainstormed about a prompt that said sucks. It's like, what? Like, I even saw Carolyn like, Laura, what do you mean? Like, whatever, I'll just go. But the goal is not sucks. The goal is you have a specific prompt that now get activated in your brain. So now all these other things that are connected with the word sucks starts to arise when you do one story, and you can associate, Naomi. So you now have bear, right? Maybe from bear you have news stories, and maybe from bear you go to Argentina. From Argentina you're like, oh my God, I love food. Oh, the pasta that my mom, right? So you now start to just remember these stories. That's why we do that. But let's lean into the bear story. What specific elements of Naomi did you learn just by her sharing that story? What did you learn about her as a person? Maybe stuff she's done, maybe personality traits that you connect to the story. Okay, brave, adventurous. What else? What did we learn about her as a person? This is so important for every single one of you creating your full story. She's funny. Yeah, who felt it too? You can put it in the chat, Carolyn. Scared of bears. Right? We're learning all these things about her personality as well, right? She's adventurous, she creates things, she's outdoors, right? So now she's creating all sorts of pictures in our own mind about who she is, right? The best keynotes, the best speakers are first able to share something about themselves personally, but also, and this is what I want to make a point on now, is they create contrast. Naomi, what is your business about? What is your about?
What is my what?
Your business.
My business, I'm a creative writer.
Creative writer. And what is a service that you're able to offer other people? What's the product?
My product is my writing skills.
So you
Storytelling, writing.
other people. So if people want to have a book, you're able to help them write it. When people want blog posts, you're able to help them write
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
All right. And this has nothing to do with writing, right? This bear story. But it creates something about your personality. It creates something around it. Now, Naomi, do you have a story about yourself that has more something to do with writing? Something where we understand, oh, so you're really good in that. Is there something that you wrote for some specific person that got a specific result? Something that gives us a picture about what you do and how good you are in what you do?
The story about getting my first book deal. That
Okay.
was an important story. What my journey started out with just sharing, aspects of my road travel journey on social media. I love storytelling. I connect that back to my grandmother, who was a storyteller and a poet. And I grew up on a small island in the Caribbean where we didn't really have electricity or amenities like that. So my grandmother brought her grandchildren together through storytelling by candlelight. So every like Sunday, we would go to my grandmother's house, we'd cook dinner together, and the family would get together. And my grandmother would start with a poem or something she wrote or a scary story. And then each one of us would have to get up and tell a story or perform or sing a song, something like that. So storytelling is a part of me, in a very deep way. So sharing my story on social media opened up an opportunity to write my first book. And the opportunity kind of presented itself in a really strange way. It was during the pandemic. I was on the road, everything was uncertain. And I got this email from a publisher at Simon and Schuster asking me to write a book about my journey. And I thought it was a lie. I was like, is this some kind of a joke? Just like doubting myself and gaslighting myself, like, wow, like maybe you're not that good of a storyteller. How could you even get this opportunity? So I decided, you know what, I'll bite. I responded and I said, okay, I'll get on a call. And then I got on the call and it was real. And I had this opportunity to write a book about my journey, a part memoir, part practical guide. And I wrote this book in my van on the road, and I have a lot of stories about dealing with the exposure of being on the road and writing a book and all the stories that came along with that. And one particularly was when I was in Arizona near the Saguaro National Park, and I spent a week sitting on one spot under the saguaros writing a chapter of my book, being attacked by bees, black flies, extreme heat and just laughing at the contrast of that experience of sharing my story of road travel and writing a book while experiencing all these unique aspects of what it means to live van life. So that's my story.
So there's so many stories here. And for every single one of you, when we're picking stories, there's 3 categories that we always want to include. Who remembers who they are? They all start with a C. The person who is fastest in the chat gets 10 points. Come on now, you want to win. Coolness, number 1. Yes. What else? Clarity, almost. Community, well done. So we got 2 of the 3. And oh, we missed one. Clarity is not the right one. Oh, there we go. Adrian. Coolness, community, and credibility. 10 points coming your way. 3, 2, 1. There you go. Right? We have coolness, community, and credibility. Coolness meaning something unique about you as a person where I can remember you by. So sometimes I tell about being a digital nomad. Right now I'm in Park City, Utah, but I've lived in Tenerife. I just told a story in the beginning about this, right? It creates some personality. It starts to create some feelings about a person. Now, what coolness elements did you hear from Naomi in just the riff that she was doing? When you would create her story library from just what she was sharing, what unique elements was she sharing about herself? Please put it in the chat. Living in a van and writing a book, travel and stay in a van, done, right? There were more, but let's say travel, staying in a van, that's already very unique. That's cool. Now, the second one, community. Community. What community pieces did she share about herself? Grandma. Grandma, she did, right? The goal of community is not to share all the people you're hanging out with. The goal is, and this is how this whole system is created, is very simple, but it's based on a lot of different theory pieces, right? Because people buy some sales strategies, people buy from two kinds of people. Number one, people they aspire, number one is people they feel that they have similarities with. People they feel connected to because I feel like we have similar stuff we're doing. When you share community about your grandma, Naomi, you're reminding me of mine. Like I literally, right before I flew to Utah, I had a 3-day holiday with my grandma. The grandma is my biggest amazing person in my life. So I already feel more connected to you because I know your grandma is important to you as well. It's all these micro things that we share through stories that make people feel in rapport with us. The second type of people that people buy from is people they aspire to be. And through stories, now you're sharing living in a van. Now, for some of us, that might be like, never in my life, right? And it's more from a coolness aspect that now we remember you. It's like, oh, the person, oh, the one that was living in a van. Oh, yeah, no, she's great. So now you're creating a picture that people remember you through. But for some people, it might be, oh my God, she had like the life of freedom that I would die for. Like I love writing a book and I needed help anyways. I would love to have it from her because she has lifestyle goals that I have already. So I want to be hanging out with you, right? Now the last one, credibility. What were elements in her story that were credible? That created credibility for her as an entrepreneur, as a business owner? What elements in her story share that? Please put it in the chat. Travel and writing. So she knows about it. Writing the book about her road trip. She was asked to write a book from a publisher, right? It says something. She's been storytelling forever. A recognized publisher published her book, right? So now, and this is the fun part about storytelling, she didn't say, hey, I'm Naomi and I'm really good because I did all of these things. Everybody in this group has different connections about why you think she's credible. Some people say she was traveling and writing a book. She must be very resourceful. She must be very flexible. But some said she was asked to write a book from a publisher. So it's like, oh, this external party trusted her. So maybe I'm able to trust her now as well. She's been storytelling forever. Okay, she has a lot of years of experience. Without telling that, she said, I did that with my grandma with candlelight when I was a kid. She didn't say, I am an amazing copywriter. I have 30 years of experience. Like, She's sharing that through stories. She's sharing it on social media. What you did not yet share, what you shared in our call together, Naomi, is you've been paid as an influencer, right? That was your business. Your whole business is like getting paid as a influencer. So now being social media, getting a book deal while being a paid influencer, do we see that that creates credibility? And she's not even talking about the results that she got through her copywriting. She's just sharing those elements. So when you were kind of riffing and sharing, Naomi, I completely heard your entire talk and 3 very specific stories that connect the credibility, the coolness, and the community. Just with what you shared now, and I highly advise you to listen back to what you said, is picking 3 stories that cover the credibility, the coolness, and the community brings people along the journey. And for all of you, for everybody here, is look at the stories that you wrote down. All the stories that you brainstormed. Are they most coming from a place of coolness and all the cool adventures you went through? Or when you would create a pie and you would create the percentage of every C, is it mostly credibility? Are you thinking back of all the amazing stuff you've done on business, on personal life, all the credibility that you have in your life? Or is it more community? Just as with presenting, we have 3 different styles of perceiving information: visual, kinesthetic, auditorium. We're not going to dive in what they mean, but I want to share that there's different people with different learning styles. And the learning style that you probably most connect to is the one that you love the most. And the same with stories. Some of you might be super comfortable with sharing about community and fun stuff that you did. And then when it comes to credibility, you're like, well, I don't want to brag, you know? I had people who build 8-figure companies, 7 companies, all of them 7 or 8 figures. They're like, yeah, I'm just so passionate about helping people. I'm like, yeah, great. I love that about you. But we are not going to say yes to your offer when we don't know that you're actually trustworthy of that. So cut the crap and share your amazing stuff. I said it more elegantly, I will tell that. But it's really important to have all of the people, parts of the pie. When you look at your own stories and you're like, whoa, there's a lot of cool stuff about me. I'm all the credibility pieces. I've done book deals. I've done this. I've done this. I've done this. I've done this. It's like, great. We love that you're good at what you do. But where are you? Where's the personality? Where's the juice of life? How do we know who you are? Again, people buy from people they feel they have a connection with. Now, my question to you, what was the level of connection? What was the thing that Naomi shared that made you feel closer to her? I just shared mine. It was about grandma. But what was it about you? What was it for you? What was the topic that she tipped on? Maybe it was a place she visited. Maybe it was her lifestyle, whatever it is. What was the thing that she shared that resonated most with you as a person? Please put it in the chat. The socks. What else? Being in nature. All right. What was it for you? Put it in the chat. The cheap backpack. What else? Her fur baby. Dogs. Isn't it fun? The bear. Isn't it fun that right now no one put in the same thing? No one. Adventurous lifestyle. No one put in the same thing. When we're telling stories, we're giving people a platter of free imagination for themselves, and they can pick what serves them, and you don't need to control what people get from your talk. You have an aim, you have a direction, and you share stories, you share teaching points. And the beauty of the way that you're learning this is that people will take what they need and what they feel. And some people will be so inspired by the fact that you actually in that day bought a dog. And you're like, well, I thought about copywriting. Like, didn't you not listen or what? Like, are you stupid? But then 6 months later, you get a DM and you're like, you know what, I'm so grateful you shared that, because I got a lot from copywriting. But what actually changed me the most is I always wanted a dog, and I thought I needed to be ready. But you bought one in the same day, or you got it into your family and you still have it 6 years later. I actually went that same day to a kennel, got an adopted dog, and I'm happier ever since. And you're like, well, that was totally not my aim, but I'm so glad I shared it because I'm so happy you did. And you will get clients that will connect with you in the most random ways possible. You're like, you remember that story about the socks? I thought you were so goofy. I just wanted to work with you. I didn't even think I needed to write a book, but just the way you shared it inspired me so much. I just want to work with you. Who in this room, by the way, did not really want to be a speaker, but just thought, you know what? I just want to be part of this group. I had this over and over again, right? People who were like, I don't know why I want to be here, but I just want to. And it was because I was willing to share stories about aspects of my life that people resonated with, even though they did not think that the outcome is what they needed in the moment. So what's up for you right now is to look at all the stories that you brainstormed and put them into your Notion template in your story library. In the template that's explained in the course. Again, if you already created it, great. If not, it's still there for you. Video 2.4. The template is downloadable in the course. What you want to do then is look, it's like, hey, are there a lot of similar stories from the same sea? Am I getting real comfortable with the community? And do I have this belief that I'm not cool? It's like, you are. What is unique about you? What is special about you? Got one person, she said, there's nothing special about me. I'm like, that's utterly bullshit. Let's find out together. And we found out that she actually bakes cookies for all of her clients. But for her, it was so normal that she didn't think it was cool. Cool is not about something that you give yourself a sticker for. It's something that's unique about you, something that might be different than other people. And sometimes it can just be the country you're living in. When I'm talking to a US crowd, I say I'm from the Netherlands. It creates contrast. It's like, oh, she's from Europe. It's like, Europe is not a country, but yes, I am. Right? So what stories did you write down, and what elements of your C are you leaning into? Which one are you may lead away from? Or which one are you not actively thinking about when you just get the exercise? And then make sure that you got stories from all areas and write them down. Keep watching the course. And then next week, we're going to see even better how this all comes together. In the last 3 minutes, before I'm going to share a specific exercise that would love all of you to do, are there any specific questions? Something that needs to be resolved for you to feel that you're able to get into action this week? And just what Linda shared, once you start to work on your story library, at the most unexpected time, you will remember a story to include. What we did today was actively brainstorm. But what's going to happen is that you go through life, you walk in the supermarket, you see pasta, and you're like, oh, or you see someone crossing the street and you're like, oh my God, I totally remember this. When you wake up, you're like, oh, I forgot about this totally. And that's the goal. This is not like the thing we want to finish. This is a lifestyle that we want to adapt into. That a stage is not this one big moment in front of a crowd. It's like every single meeting that you're able to practice a story. So when you get asked, hey, can you fill in because a speaker fell out? You're like, I did not prepare. It's like, I know, because I know how to choose my aim. I know what stories to pick. It won't be perfect, but this will be another moment where I'm able to iterate and go through step number 1, number 3, 1, 2, 3. The one you prepared, the one you did, and the one you wished you did. And you know, I've got another iteration that helps me be better next time. So for half of you, for Patrice, for Carolyn, from Naomi, from Anmol, you're going to share your story in 3 weeks from now. So make sure that He's so excited. Who's excited, by the way, for the process in a good way? Patrice is like, no, not really, Laurie, but I'm leading into the process. It's so good, right? Again, I just want to emphasize that for people who came later. Like, there has never been a public speaking academy round ever where I did not get a text from someone like very last minute, like, Laurie, I don't think I'm doing this because, and then I have heard the most fascinating arguments why, really trying to convince me. There's never been one round where I did not have this text. Maybe this will be the first, who knows? But maybe it won't. Just know that if you feel like that tension, that is part of the process. But we talked about it. We need to have confusion before the clarity. If you're in confusion right now, you're in the process. We just want to keep going. So what I would love for all of you to do is to record a video, what we always do after this class, and to answer 3 questions and then to share it in our WhatsApp. And these 3 questions are: number 1, what was your breakthrough today? What is your aha moment, or what is something you've learned? Number 1. Number 2, what action step are you going to take before we see each other next? That can either be next week on Tuesday in our workshop, but it can also be on Monday. You all have access to the Monday momentum calls. These are bonus calls. You don't have to participate. You can participate. You all have invitations to your calendar. So number 2, what action are you committed on doing before we see each other next? And number 3, one of my favorites. Who in this group are you grateful for today and why? Let's not forget that story libraries can be great, but that public speaking still is the #1 fear of humankind. And that it's really nice to connect some good, positive feelings to that and reassociate what we feel when we hear public speaking. When we share gratitude, we anchor it in for ourselves as well. So we do both of us a gift. So who's willing to do that right after a call when you close the Zoom room, to get your phone, to record the video, to not overwhelm yourself, to not procrastinate, to not make the rules of success too high, what we talked about before, just to do it right now, right here, because you got it. Number 1, what's your biggest aha moment? Number 2, what action step are you doing? And number 3, who in this group are you grateful for? For everybody, see you next week. For the people who will share your keynote in 3 weeks, through the link, you're able to book your one-on-one prep session with moi. In the email, I know, very excited. Luke is excited for it. In the email, you will share exactly how you can prepare best for that. In summary, make sure you create a video that I can watch before. Even if you really don't know what you're going to speak about yet, do it. You will get more out of talking in front of a camera, sharing a video that you feel is absolute bullshit, than saying, I did not know, can we brainstorm on it together now? So make sure you make a video, even though you don't feel ready. All right? So for everybody, have an amazing rest of your time. We'll close the Zoom in a bit. I won't leave when there's questions. So for everybody who has a question, I will be here.
Okay.
But for everybody else, if you want to go, this was it. Patrice.
Yes. The video, are we supposed to make a video of a keynote, or video with our questions, or video practicing stories? What's the video?
Video of the keynote that you would love to share. So that could be around like 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
This is like pretending that you're doing this for real, and maybe you feel like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. Then I would say you do, just do it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Linda is laughing because she did the speaking academy 2 times already. She's like, I know what you feel, man. Like, I now start to really understand what I need to do, but in the beginning it's tough. But just listen to Laurie, but just trust the process because you'll get there. Right? Any other questions? No? Then we're gonna close up the Zoom. See you soon. If you have any questions in the meantime, you know we got you. We got your back. The WhatsApp is open. And for everybody, I'm gonna see you on the one-on-one. Super stoked for you. And for the rest, see you either Monday or Tuesday. Ciao, ciao.